Welcome to Brighter Morning with Bo, and our guest this morning is Mr. Henry Awong, the chairman of the Gov't Talparo region, and let's talk to him about local government and what's happening in that corporation. Good morning, Mr. Awong. How are you?
Pleasant good morning, Bo. Pleasant good morning to your viewership. I'm good.
Well, thank you for coming on. First of all, explain to viewers the areas that you cover in that corporation and how many communities you have there in that very large and vast area that you cover as a corporation.
Well, first to begin, our corporation is actually the second largest corporation in Trinidad. And I would like to make the point that it spans a vast amount of land, actually 719.6 square kilometers. It's larger than Tobago, larger than Barbados. There's a population of over 178,000 people living in this region. It is divided into 14 electoral districts. So basically what I'm telling you, there are 14 councillors. And of course, well, the council will be 18 members with 14 councillors and 4 aldermen. It spans, from Rio Claro, almost Rio Claro, San Pedro, on one end, back to Pointe Pier, the other end. You go as far as Las Lomas, which is almost in the St. Helena area. Just to give you a fair idea as to what's happened, and then back to that Gov't, Cali Bay area. So it's actually a very, very large. There's over 140 communities make up this region, falls within this region. There are 9 constituencies that encompasses the region, 6 totally and 3 partially. So when I say constituencies, I mean where MPs and so on will have to liaise, and most of them at times will liaise with the corporation for resources and for services. So as you can see, it is one of the largest corporations in the country, second largest actually.
And your population is 3 times the population of Tobago, right?
It is.
About
safely say so.
180,000 people. Okay.
Yes, they're about. Yeah.
How many people are in an electoral district? How many people does a councillor have to look after?
There are 10,000 electors. That's electors, not the population, because we have people under the age of 18 too. So if you use a ratio of 3 to 1, that's probably around 30,000 persons.
Yeah.
Because you'll have to look after. Yeah.
And how many communities, again, you said in the corporation?
Over 140 communities. Yeah.
140 communities in that corporation?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, that is an amazing number. How much money do you get, or how much money did you get in allocation this year to look after these communities?
Our allocation this year for our PSIP was 16 million. 16 million, but the critical areas to look at actually is, and I heard your caller just not complaining about the roads down south, Barapo and areas like that. Yeah. And I looked at my votes for this fiscal year 2021-2022. And the money allocated to the Gov't Talparo Regional Corporation, as I mentioned, one of the largest corporations, is $4.5 million for roads and for our roads and bridges program. So I want to stress that, roads and bridges, because bridges, there are a lot of wooden bridges in this region still. Just recently we had a situation on the Liborn Road Bridge, that's more down on that Bonaventure Gasparilla area, where that wooden bridge collapsed. So we had to find ways and means to repair it again with wood, because one bridge could almost take up your whole allocation. And then there's the issue too of landslips. That 4.5 million will have to address landslips in parts of the region also. And as you know, to repair a landslip is a very costly thing to repair a landslip. So the $4.5 million that is allocated in this corporation for roads and bridges, and I want to include landslides and so on into that, is grossly inadequate to address all the needs and concerns of the people. As I'm telling you, 14 electoral districts. If you divide that 4.5 million into 14, you will see what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, how do you satisfy your constituents then in terms of their multivarious needs? Because, I mean, I've been an MP in that area in Caroni Central, and I know the demands are great. People always have problems. If there's a flood there are effects. Everybody wants their road fixed because it is in a deplorable, deteriorating state. Then there are landslide problems in that part of the country. And the earth is not stable, really, in that part of the country. It's very, very undulating land around the area. You have water problems throughout the region there. I had the Minister of Public Utilities here. You know, how do you satisfy the constituents of Gov't, Tabakit, Talparo?
Let me tell you, it's the only way we can actually satisfy the constituents or the businesses within our region is by being visible, being able to communicate with them and let them know what we are working with. But all in all, we have a lot of people who is unsatisfied as businesses within the region because some of them mean, I always say, local government deal with the everyday needs of the individuals within our region. So if you get up in the morning and you look out your window and you look out your door to see if your garbage is picked up, that is local government. If you look at your sidewalks and your sidewalks properly well maintained, is the road properly well maintained, that's local government. So I will tell you, with lack of funding, because the corporation is not an income generating organization. We are solely dependent on central government for allocation and for resources to carry out the needs, to carry out the work we have to do based on the needs and the needs of the people. So any government interested really in the actual well-being of people, of constituents, will fund local government, give adequate funding actually to local government. So we have people, to answer your question directly, we have a lot of unsatisfied constituents or businesses within our region.
Is there a structural problem with local government and central government in the country? And if there is, tell me what that problem is and what the solution is.
The problem actually in local government, actually, structurally speaking, is that we don't generate income. So we are dependent on central government for that. Basically, when the government you were part of, our funding issues wasn't that bad because we were able to do quite a lot of work, working hand in hand with central government. And for example, that same vote I spoke about, what we got 4.5 million this year. Last year it was 3.5. Back then, when we were in government, we People's Partnership were in government, we had funding up to 8 million. So we were able to significantly reduce the bad roads and so on within parts of the region. But it was so bad that what we did probably would have, we had more work to do. The other thing too is about maintenance of these roads and so on. So if it does not give us, the corporation, adequate funding in the maintenance to that on our recurrent expenditure, then still the roads that was fixed, let me say 7 to 10 years ago, will start to deteriorate, and we need to maintain these roads. Yeah, we need to maintain these roads. I will make the example of water. Before 2010, and I just want to draw this point out, before 2010, we had 35 areas that was dependent on a truck-borne supply of water during the dry season. And an area doesn't mean a village or a community. It may consist of a few villages will form one area. And we were able to reduce that significantly between 2010 and 15. We moved from 35 to 13 now, 13 in 2015, but it's still 13 now. After 2013, it's still 13 now. So there are 13 areas that have no pipelines, actually. Then you have this situation, as you mentioned rightly, there are areas where WASA have a service, supposed to have a service, and people will be calling the corporation ever so often for a truckload of water because there's no water in the line for two weeks at times, So those are things that will impact on the well-being of the businesses within the region. We're speaking about, you see, if you look at the work that corporation do, regional corporation, you'll see that what we do actually is contribute to healthy communities. Because if it doesn't get water in your community, and we doesn't have the resources to provide water for you, then it's affecting the health of your community. We doesn't have the capacity to remove your garbage and take it into environmentally friendly landfill or so. That will impact on your health and well-being in your community. If every morning you get up and you're frustrated because as you drive out the road, for an example, if you're coming through La Vega right now, you'll get sick because the condition of the road is so deplorable, right? But I want to say that we shouldn't be having to come on programs like these ever so often as local government practitioners and complain about resources to fix basic things like roads, to address your water needs, your drainage issue. We got 4 million this year under drainage. Gov't, Tabaki, Talparo is an area that is flood prone. There are many areas in this region that are flood prone. But we have to be coming on programs like these, going on media, social media, whatever, and complaining about these basic things that's supposed to be the run of the mill. And local government now seems to be that we are only complaining. And there are so many other things we can do in local government. So many other things other than complain about funding to fix roads and bridges. Those are critical. Those are things that address the everyday needs of the people. But we have much more we can do as local government.
Yeah, the government is claiming that when they introduce the property tax, that the funding will go to local government. How do you feel about that? Would that make sense for you? Or does that put you in a kind of awkward situation or what?
That would be ideal in the sense that if that funding comes back to the corporation, if and when. But I came into local government at a time when there's a tax called Road Improvement Fund, where 5% of you pay at the pump, 5%. And I didn't see no benefit and I didn't see no major road development within my area. So I'm skeptical about that because I'm told that the funding will go back into the consolidated fund. And then there's a formula that will be worked out to determine how much of that will come back to the regional corporation. And I'm telling you, my area, as I said before, one of the largest corporations in Trinidad. And I'm not comfortable to the point whereby I can sit down comfortably and say, yes, collect all the property tax in Gov't, Tabaki, Talparo. That will address all your concerns and needs by means of funding and everything else. Unless I see the ratio that they speak about and actually see that money coming back to the corporation, then I could probably say, well, then it is really something good for the corporation.
So you are not clear about the difference that would make. You are not clear about how the money will be collected and disbursed, and you are not clear how the corporation will benefit from it, and therefore what you will be able to do. Is that correct?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Bo.
All right. Listen, I mean, local government, given the powers that it has, which are very limited, in a situation in which you do not really have devolution of power and you do not have meaningful decentralization in the country. And the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the current government, does not seem to be interested in decentralization. I don't know the extent to which they are interested in devolution, because there was some discussion about local government in 2016 or 17, I think. Consultations were had, and nothing has really been done to deal with this issue of devolution. Do you think that devolution and decentralization that is meaningful are things that are absolutely necessary for local government to exert a certain amount of power and control and development influence in the area? Or do you think that maybe other things are necessary in the interim until we can talk seriously about that? Can you comment on that?
I agree that devolution of power and decentralization is important to furthering local government as a whole. And those are things that we continue to speak about for some years now. Devolution of power and so on. However, I can't say that there are other areas that would impact upon whether or not how adequate local government can respond to your needs and concerns. So you could have all the devolution and everything else, and the local government reforms and everything else, but unless we are properly funded, and there's no, and more to funding to actually, I want to use the word resource, properly resourced, because our human capacity at the corporations and so on are grossly inadequate too at times. Most times, because there are so many positions to be filled, unless all those issues are dealt with, then we really are doing, we're not really doing much to advance what corporation can do and how we can respond to the needs and concerns of the people. And I say that because I tell you that in my corporation, there are key positions still not filled. For an example, we have something called a workshop, and that workshop is supposed to be supervised and run by a person called a workshop foreman. But that's a monthly paid position. That's a position to be filled by the Service Commission. But we still, since I'm there for 18 years now, that position is run by a mechanic who would be the senior mechanic in the garage, and he runs that position. He holds down that position. The same thing with the transport yard. The transport foreman is a monthly paid position. We never had that position filled. And a number of other positions. We're supposed to have 3 RO1s. We functioning now with, we have none as a matter of fact at this point in time. Supposed to have 3 RO2s, we have 1. We're supposed to have, well, we have 1 RO3, which is carrying out the function of a workshop foreman. So I'm making the point about whether or not you could do what you want, unless you address all these needs and all these concerns for local government, you would not really be doing much. And funding is a critical issue, like how the Tobago House of Assembly is funded by a percentage of the national budget. I think it's 4% or whatever the case may be. It should that I think there is the adequate way to treat with local government and the whole, not only the THA, but over Trinidad. So if you are sure every year you're going to get a 2% of the budget or 1%, as the case may be, then you can properly plan and execute your plans based on the funding that you would now get and you know you'll get. The other thing is whether in Act 21 of 1990, we are supposed to be able, with the approval of the minister, to borrow money, to borrow borrow money to do projects. Each corporation should have a town hall and an administrative complex, like something like Shawona's Borough. But something could be added to that. We can house all the government agencies there and let them pay a rent to the corporation. Why can't we build a car park in Cuba and at the corporation level, borrow money, build a car park, that will pay back itself, and eventually we'll be making income generating. We'll be having income generating coming back to the council, to the corporation. So to make the point about devolution and everything, that would be good, more authority to local government, because a lot of agencies that does not directly fall under our jurisdiction, from time to time will call us for services. Schools in the area, they always want a ground cut, they want toilet repair. The health facilities in Cuba, we at times have to reach out to them to try to tell any police stations. As a matter, let me give you a good example. Yesterday, WASA was carrying out some works in the Balmain area. They called me, they want to get 2 municipal police to assist them in directing the traffic in the area they was carrying out the work. Now, WASA is supposed to have their own WASA police to do that. But they are telling me now they doesn't have any, they're very scarce on resources. So every organization and agent. Hello?
Yeah, we lost you on the screen.
I'm seeing myself.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I was making the point. Yesterday, we had to send 2 municipal police to assist WASA. We're supposed to have their own in-house police arrangement to deal with how they regulate traffic and deal with the WASA issues and so on. Making the point that every organization would come to local government at a time to bail them out. Ministry of Works, we, the corporations in this country, and Gov't, Talparo in particular, we take blows from Ministry of Works, roads and footpaths and sidewalks and things. Because everybody thinks, well, local government could address those things. I saw a comment today on one of the social medias, because they were referring to a sidewalk in Cuba that runs opposite the health facility in Cuba. And they are open manhole covers and so on and thing. And we have been agitating, we've been talking to Works, Ministry of Works people who comes to our regional coordinating meeting to address these concerns. And it was never done. But the general public feel that local government can address these things. While the Ministry of Works, the sidewalks are not properly maintained. Some areas, the bushes covering the road. Right? And we are the corporation, the chairman and my colleagues, councillors, all of them very efficient and so on, but have to take the blows for those things. So I'm saying, probably give me the resources at the regional corporations and let me get the work done. Let us get the work done, but of course, give us the resources.
All right. Mr. Awong Henry, we are going to have to take a break now for commercial. And we will be right back and continue to talk with you.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome to Lifetime Solutions, where you can trust your roof to us. Our services include custom fabrication, steel framing, roofing installation, on-site roll forming, roofing maintenance and services. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com. Lifetime Solutions. You can trust your roof to us. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com.
Welcome back to Brighter Morning with Bo. We are talking to Henry Awong, the chairman of Gov't Talparo. And Henry was making the point that in addition to devolution and decentralization, a formula needs to be worked out, as with the Assembly, for a percentage of funding to be disbursed annually to each corporation. And secondly, that the funding autonomy issue and the capacity of the corporation to raise funds is also an important issue. And thirdly, the entrepreneurial autonomy that is necessary for a corporation so that they can generate income from the things that they do, like establishing car parks, rental of buildings, etc. These things are also important. And he basically raised the issue of human resources within the corporation. I don't know if just filling the post will make a difference, or maybe redesigning corporations to function within a different kind of framework. And I want to ask him now about the physical resources that he has in terms of equipment, etc., to do the work that is necessary in the corporation. Can you talk a little bit about that, Henry?
Of course, Bo. My corporation is, as I said, I keep emphasizing the size of it. And when you have at times one mini excavator functional, or just sometimes one backhoe, two backhoes functional to service the region, and I just drawing down on those two pieces of equipment. So what you find when that's happening, you'll find councillors come into a meeting, a physical infrastructure committee meeting, or a public health committee meeting, and you will find lengthy periods of time are wasted on deciding where this one excavator should go, because every councillor have a passion for their particular electoral district, and they would want the services of this equipment. And things and time that can be utilized in a more effective way, a more productive way, is spent on determining who should get use of a backhoe and who should get use of an excavator, or out of the 3 trucks that is functioning as we speak now, where should it go to drop material and so on, because the race will add. So, but the point is, we have a lot of people, a lot of vehicles parked up in the yard, in the workshop yard, because the funding under our recurrent expenditure to properly maintain this vehicle is not forthcoming from central government. So you will have a lot of vehicles in the yard. The yard is packed with vehicles and equipment most of trucks and backhoes and so on, steamroller. But the funding to repair those pieces of equipment that is done is not forthcoming. Then we have a situation whereby it is not possible to have the equipment that is really needed to carry out the functions that we are supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of challenges. And the problem with the equipment and fixing the equipment is just that you do not have the funds to get it done? Is that it?
Most time is the funding. There are times to sourcing the parts for these vehicles, because some of them is probably vehicles that are probably over 10 years. And I'm told that suppliers in this country supply, parts place and things, suppliers, yes, they at times wouldn't stock certain parts because those parts are not really in high demand. So sometimes sourcing the parts to get the vehicle up and running in a quick time could be a little challenge. But yes, funding is critical too.
But couldn't all the derelict vehicles be assessed for what is needed, and then you take a comprehensive set of steps to do that together with central government? We couldn't do that?
Meaning to get those that is needed, upgrade and repair?
Yes.
Because that is what we're doing now. We are focusing on our corporation is run by administrative districts. There are 5 administrative districts within the region. We have the Pointe-a-Pierre, Kuno-Pierre, Talparo, and Couva, right? Couva North and Montserrat. And it is our hope and our vision that each of these districts is properly equipped with the necessary equipment, like a truck, a backhoe, a farmer with the attachments, a tipping trailer, a steamroller. Because if a backhoe have to leave Couva to go to, let's say, Talparo to get some work done there, the time on the road to reach Talparo is approximately probably 2 hours to reach Talparo from Cuba. So all our administrative districts, the 5 of them, should be properly equipped. So we are focusing on that with whatever resources we have now to do that. We have been focusing on that a while, but we are paying particular attention to have all these administrative districts properly well equipped with the necessary tools to carry out the duties.
Yeah, I will just leave you with a final question now because we've got to close. Do you get the support that you need from the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government and from the Ministry of Works? Because I don't see how you can do your work for all of these communities and such a large area of central Trinidad without support from these agencies. Do you get any support?
There will be some level of support from local government ministry, but not enough to have the businesses that solely dependent on the corporation to provide for the everyday needs and wants as it relates to infrastructure and everything else that we do, right? And I think the Minister of Local Government, as someone who I have a level of respect for, but I think he should be more forceful when he goes to his cabinet meetings and so on to demand much more for local government. And well, we get let me say this, we get no support at all from the Minister of Works, none whatsoever from the Minister of Works. So to answer your question, we should be getting much more support than what we are getting now.
So what you're going to tell your constituents when local government election time comes and you have to ask them to return you to office?
Well, I will tell them we have tried our best with regards to the level of resources that we have and that we were afforded by central government. However, we had better days and better times in local government from 2010 to 2015. So you want, when that time comes and you are asked to select or vote a government in, consider all those things. You're like, when we was there in 2010 to 15, we were able to build 35 pavilions. We were able to illuminate over 51 recreation grounds. We were able to install over 25 play parks. We were doing a lot of things under local government, right? But as it is now, not much is really happening. And as I said before, I think local government can do much more. As a matter of fact, my corporation is pushing the LED initiative, local economic development initiatives. We have a lot of beautiful sites within our region that we can capitalize on in the form of local tourism. You have 2 clusters aside, boy, you would know the 85 feet animal Morty. We have the temple in the sea. We have the only mud temple, what we call the Kutia. We have Calibe. We have a nice, beautiful fish fest in Calibe in conjunction with the Cuba Point Research Chamber of Commerce. We had to shelve that because of COVID. We have sites up in, we have the Tortuga Church. We have the La Vega Estate. We have the San Antonio Cocoa Estate, where the cocoa is still processed in its original form. We have the Northeast Tunnel and Tabaqui. Just said that as I visited there with the National Trust of Trinidad and Tobago, looking at the Northeast Tunnel and so on and things. That's one of the listed sites. We have 3 listed sites within our region: is the Northeast Tunnel, the Wildfowl Trust.
We've got to go now, Chairman.
You see what happened?
We've come to the end of the program because we've got a break now for the news. Thank you very much for talking with me. I wish you all the best in the corporation. And we move on now to Andrew Chan.
Thank you very much both for having me. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Another time. Okay, we move now to Andrew Chan and the news at 7.